Good afternoon. It is March 1st, 2021. My name is Michael Schumann, and I am the administrator of the Karmic Margin Call project. I am also the coordinator for the Virtual Services Time Bank. And welcome to the 5-year plan. So what is the 5-year plan? The 5-year plan is a discussion that I have started about how to ethically and realistically change the rules of the economy to benefit everyone. So this is my 4th time doing this this presentation. So it's very informal. Just going to share with you what we're working on here in the United States and a couple of our partners in Canada and the UK to really bring about equality within the economy. So I'm working on. I've been working on this now for about 10 years, and I started the Time Bank last year. That runs on reverse market mechanics accounting procedures. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So who am I? What do I do? What I do is I help good people with impeccable character to leverage their time and talent in order to unrig the financial markets. So, that's a discussion all in itself. Are the financial markets rigged? And if so, how do we unrig them? So my purpose today is to continue to practice doing this presentation. We want to invite emotionally intelligent dialogue, kind of transcend, get past all of the conflict and the controversies of different political interests and different governmental interests, and really have a conversation, and really cover the nuts and bolts, the particulars on how we can turn this ship around. So with that being said, I'm going to go pull up my slideshow here, and welcome aboard. Okay, so if you are interested in becoming a member of our Time Bank, and all of our members are member owners, so that means you are also a co-owner of this Time Bank. So we really have no distinction between a consumer and an owner in our Time Bank. So I am going to start the slideshow now. Bear with me a moment while my computer catches up. So everything we do, we're leveraging time and talent with what you are already doing, with what you already have a passion for. We started this initiative to benefit artists, teachers, and entrepreneurs, to create a safe environment and a risk-free environment to discuss their ideas and develop partnerships. So everything works through the partnership. So this is the 5-year plan to reverse engineer the economy. This is the Karmic Margin Call project and the Virtual Services Time Bank. So this is our mission statement for the Virtual Services Time Bank. The mission is to establish an equal partnership economy, or we also call this the regenerative economy, by observing innovative accounting procedures within the current extractive economy. An EPE, Equal Partnership Economy, is established by educating the public about what we see as the 3 pillars of socioeconomic stability. Those 3 pillars are fellowship, time bank, and reverse market mechanics. So fellowship, time banking, and reverse market mechanics. So everything in this presentation is really about exploring those 3 pillars. And by the way, fellowship, when we talk about fellowship, it's not a religious thing. It's just a word that we come up with that really depicts a small group of people coming together and discussing and strategizing, how to implement a very specific goal. So that's what we mean by fellowship, is the power of small groups. The Virtual Services Time Bank executes this mission, and the Karmic Margin Call project will hold the vision, which I'll go over in a minute. So these are the practical steps. The Virtual Services Time Bank works specifically with the time banking procedures, and the reverse market mechanics is the macroeconomic procedures. So another purpose of this presentation is really to simplify and to make this conversation accessible. So I'm going to try not to get into too many specifics today, but invite you into our world to have a discussion if you're considering being a member owner. So here are the 3 pillars again. Fellowship, and again, There's a lot of religious connotations or a lot of religious associations with that word. It's not meant to be religious unless you want to create a small fellowship that focuses on religious idealism or anything of that matter. That's perfectly okay. But what a fellowship does is that it increases the individual's social capital through equal partnerships, through dialogue, through both listening and committed speaking. So social capital is something I'll touch on today, but everybody has value. And our duty and our purpose as member owners is to be able to help each other understand our strengths, and develop our social capital. Because a lot of the conflict and a lot of the reason why the economy is so extractive is that it thrives on conflict, it thrives on controversy, it thrives on social class conflict. So we come together with diverse people, or we come together with people who already share our ideals, and we plan steps on how to move forward as individuals so that we can all collectively move forward as a society. And that's what fellowship is about. Time banking is just this idea that one person's hour is equal to another person's hour, regardless of socioeconomic status. When you look at the extractive economy and how it runs on hierarchy and compartmentalization, it runs on secrecy a lot. So a lot of that secrecy is kind of meant to keep some people more valuable than others. But when you have honest, authentic dialogue, it really becomes apparent that everybody's hour is worth the same. And time banking explores those relationships. It provides the vehicle for those relationships, and it helps us to account for the microeconomics on how people are giving and taking to the bank, to the society as well. So reverse market mechanics is how we measure what I call the 2x2 trend. So this is how we measure the macroeconomic effect of the virtual services time bank. We do this both in time and in monetary value, in capital, liquid capital. And really what reverse market mechanics does is it helps track the effectiveness of the time bank in in moving social structures, moving the bigger financial picture around. So I'm going to go into that a little bit today, but again, this is just an introduction, and it's an introduction to that third pillar of reverse market mechanics, where we start to change the rules. We implement time into the accounting procedures so that monetarily everybody's hour really is equal, and they accumulate exponential market share from the extractive economy through their efforts, through their time invested in the time bank. So fellowship also helps the bank to develop meaningful and relevant content to the individual. So even if this presentation seems a little bit heady, if it seems a little bit too abstract at the moment, you're invited to join us in fellowship and make the content relevant to you. Like I said, we started this initiative off by having conversations with instructors, teachers, educators, entrepreneurs, and artists. So we believe in the power of small groups. And if that focus is maintained, everybody is entitled to honestly, if I may be honest, millions of dollars of market share by compounded interest. So fellowship helps take what I'm doing today, which might not be understood, but we invite you to have those fellowship relationships to make this content relevant to you and to your work. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, how this work becomes more relevant in the artistic world or in the educational world. Again, the time banking is the microeconomic management and infrastructure. So we're really going to be focusing on that within 2 years. So we're focusing on the fellowship within the first year. The time banking will really be the strong focus in the second year. And then third, fourth, and fifth year, the reverse market mechanics will be the primary focus from my efforts. And again, that is the macroeconomic management and infrastructure. So the takeaway from this first the takeaway from this first section is really just the three pillars of what makes up this initiative. And that's fellowship, time banking, reverse market mechanics. So the more we're able to speak honestly with each other and talk about these three pillars, the more we can begin to change the rules of an extractive economy and an extractive society. So here's a key concept that I like to emphasize here, especially when you're first getting introduced to this material. The key concept is that your time is a tangible and measurable asset. It is the emotional distortions which determine the value of an individual's time. So what does that mean? What that means is the Virtual Services Time Bank through this initiative is really focused on creating one-on-one personable relationships. And that can also be done through small groups within fellowship. So your time spent in service and in fellowship, doing what you love, doing what you know, also learning, being able to be vulnerable enough to learn a new skill. That time is infinitely valuable, and we are going to put the accounting procedure to work to help you account for that time and earn exponential returns for that time that you spend in a regenerative economy, in this equal partnership economy. So, so that's a key concept, is that your time is very valuable. We believe that once reverse market mechanics and once this initiative gets rolling, time will be more valuable than real estate. So that's something to keep in mind as we move forward here. So here's the vision statement of the Karmic Margin Call Project. The Karmic Margin Call Project creates freedom from the pressures of poverty and war. And we do this one heart, one relationship, one fellowship at a time. So we take our time. We're not in a rush. It's a time bank. So we really believe in the deep dive. We really believe in cultivating those relationships. I do believe it's just a matter of time when this gets implemented, and it does create economic equality. It's not a matter of selling anybody anything. It's not a matter of competing with anybody. It's just a matter of holding the space to help everybody understand what this is and how it works. I even have pictures of cells that divide in an organism as an illustration of how this does work. It grows naturally. We're just holding space for each other to cultivate those relationships. And then once we take the time to educate ourselves, it just makes sense. It just makes sense. We're really just honoring each other's time more. So at the Karmic Margin Call Project, we hold the vision that creating economic stability and social equality are simple. The real challenge lies in facilitating the mutually trusting relationships between individuals. Art, education, and entrepreneurship are at the intersection of these relationships. So we come to where you are. What are you passionate about? What is it that you as an individual would like to experience in our world and accomplish in our world? Let's explore what it would be like if we made that competition, instead of person versus person or trying to climb up a social ladder. What would it be like to explore how we all are pieces of the same puzzle and how do we fit together? So how do we make that competitiveness, we take it from extrinsic and make it more intrinsic? So how do we treat people better? How do we tune into people's gifts? How do we work within a functional relationship, as opposed to the dysfunctional relationship that is propagated by hierarchy and extractive economic procedures? So the Karmic Margin Call Project holds this ethical vision for the Virtual Services Time Bank. So this is our philosophy. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the 5-year plan here on how we intend to reverse engineer the economy to kind of to neutralize war and poverty. So the first year, my efforts in particular is going to be on fellowship establishment. We have some very modest, very attainable goals for this year, 2021. And I would love to invite you to become a part of that here in these very early stages. So we're going to talk mostly about fellowship in this presentation. 2022 is where we really implement the time banking aspect of it. That's not to say we're not doing that already. We already have 400 hours logged in our Karmic Margin Call Project virtual services time bank as we speak. But that is going to be the key focus in 2022 to help people become very mindful of their time that they spend in fellowship and in service to others. In 2023, 2024, that's when we look to really have a primary focus on reverse market mechanics and help people understand the power of exponential return in liquid capital for their time invested. Again, we're going to spend a lot of time today more on the fellowship aspect, but if you really feel a calling, or if you really feel a fascination for time bank implementation and reverse market mechanics application, there'll be opportunities to explore that more in depth too, which I'll talk about at the end of today's presentation. And then in 2024, 2025, that's all about automation. How do we take our technology and use it as a tool to really help everybody kind of enjoy their equal market share in this emerging regenerative economy. So one thing I do want to say at this point is that there are literally probably thousands of wonderful, wonderful ideas on economic reform and social reform. And I believe that reverse market mechanics can help people all come to the table and listen to each other and find the intersections to implement all of those ideas. So that's really going to be our mission coming up in 2024, 2025 within the 5 years, is to help put everybody's very good ideas to work and have those conversations to help put those ideas to work. So 2021, my focus, I am an artist. I'm an amateur filmmaker. I am also a producer and director of a theater initiative as well. But what I'm going to be doing this year, and a lot of my partners are helping me with this, is filming a documentary film about this process. I understand that not everything is going to be understood in a very broad overview presentation like this. I think storytelling is important. So I started shooting the film this past weekend. I've been editing it this week. So that's something that I'm very excited about. I feel like it's something of real significance that's being developed. So that's where a lot of my focus is going to be this year. So I'm always looking for partners and collaborators on the filmmaking end of things. And we're just starting that 2x2 trend. So we're going to talk more about the 2x2 trend in this presentation. But really what that means is that we want to put the emphasis on deepening your partnerships, deepening your relationships. So we say that 2 relationships that you already have established or are establishing is more valuable than getting 1 million clients. Okay, so let me repeat that. 2 relationships that are very fulfilling for you, those 2 relationships, they are infinitely more valuable than 1 million clients. Okay, 1 million customers. So let that sink in for a moment, and we'll move on. So the goal for this first phase is to just establish 32 core fellowship members. At the moment, we have 14 members of our time bank. 5 of them I would consider core members, but we're always looking to deepen those relationships, and we really want to attract 32 people who really resonate with these ideas and kind of become our leadership team. So that's where we're at. We want to log 640 hours for this year, by the end of this year. We've already got about 400 hours logged. So, and it's only February. I'm sorry, it's only March. So we are way ahead of schedule as far as hours concerned. And we're going to continue this year to focus on developing that leadership team of 32 core members. So in 2022, time bank implementation, the focus is going to be on developing more one-on-one relationships, orientations, to help each other establish the habit of logging, categorizing, using the Our World software within the time bank. So I really encourage people now to kind of play around and experiment and learn the time banking system. But in 2022, my focus is going to go towards coaching people, helping people understand how powerful those one-on-one relationships are for keeping track of your hours and logging that into the system so that you can earn an exponential return from the regenerative economy. So now we jump to a bigger goal by the end of 2022. We would like to see 2,000 member owners of our time bank, and that will grow organically, naturally by the 2x2 trend. And we look to log 40,000 hours by that point. So time banking has been around for a while. I believe it was initiated in the 1960s by a gentleman named Edgar Kahn. And there are time banks all over the world. And to be able to have 2,000 member owners, and we don't have a local jurisdiction. We cultivate relationships with people all over the world. To generate that many member owners by the end of our second year would certainly be a very powerful statement that time banking has arrived. So and I encourage anyone watching this to check out timebanks.org and ourworld.org to learn more about time banking. I personally, I'm a board member of a local time bank here in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. It's a nonprofit. And I also started up the Karmic Margin Call project through the Our World system. So, there's two time banking systems right there, and that's Our World and timebanks.org. So both are .orgs. Okay, so reverse market mechanics. The goal for that year is to build fellowships towards more infrastructural purposes, accounting for the hours and the monetary revenue. So that's where we're going to start to look into vehicles, financial and maybe non-governmental organizational vehicles to build infrastructure for this initiative. As we're growing and we intend to grow, we're going to be really focused on the management. So the time banking aspect of it will start to emerge more into the reverse market mechanics aspect. Our goal for the end of 2024 is to generate our first $1 million in revenue, and generate 21 million hours out of the extractive economy and build the regenerative economy based on that many hours. And then finally, in automation, we're going to be upscaling our efforts to bridge the gap in our technological growth. So the technology already exists to make this a reality. I think as a people and as cultures that are interdependent upon each other, I think the growth now is developing our emotional intelligence, developing our relationships through fellowship, so that we can catch up with what's going on technologically. Because from a technological perspective, we can create an equal partnership economy tomorrow. But right now, the challenge is more interpersonal. So by 2024, 2025, we hope to have bridged those gaps in cultural misunderstandings, personality misunderstandings, and put the technology to use to really automate the regenerative economy. And we'll be recording the cash flow that comes out of the extractive economy and funds the regenerative economy, where everybody is entitled to their equal share. And this is the big one. This is why I say also that it's the 5-year plan to generate $1 trillion in revenue. In order to do that, our first 1 million member owners will be entitled to $1 million in liquid capital. That's the building blocks. That's the reality of the situation. I understand how to get there, but I also understand that it's very difficult emotionally to grasp the very simple concept that 2 × 2 = 4, and that 4 times 2 equals 8. And that you take that to the 20th power, it's over $1 million. It's 1,048,536, I think, maybe 576, but that doesn't matter. It's 1.048 million. So we want to be able to log 20 billion hours within our time bank by that time. Now, 20 billion, it's not that much, to tell you the truth. It sounds impressive. It sounds like a lot. But if you consider every person in this world has 24 hours a day, 365 days a week. I'm sorry, yeah, they have 7 days a week, 365 days a year. 7.8 billion people in this world. You're looking at 68 trillion hours that is available currently in the extractive economy. And just being able to harness a small fraction of that, 20 billion, is not much, but it puts us in the right direction. And it puts us in the direction of turning around the entire socioeconomic structure. So take a moment, breathe. I threw a lot at you. Again, this is not going to be the focus of today's conversation. I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of kind of like where we're at year by year. So we're going to get back to basics today, and that is talking about fellowship. Before I do so, I'm going to put this here because if you would like to join the Time Bank, you can do so at any time. It is a free service. So you can start communicating with our member owners. You can start talking about exchanging services. That's completely free. We want to develop the relationship with good people by offering this as a free service. So if you want to become a member owner, that is, if you want to start the relationship where we talk about sharing revenues, that is a $25 voluntary donation. And I say that a little bit reluctantly because we're still working on the languaging. For instance, it's illegal to say that you're collecting donations in Canada if you're not a nonprofit. So we're not a nonprofit. We're at the moment, I call us a collectively owned proprietorship, and we're in the very beginning stages of attaining our business license, attaining everything we need legally to be a recognized legal business entity. But we are taking donations to start talking about our revenue sharing program. So obviously the first benefit is membership to the Time Bank, but that's free. You can join anytime as long as you provide 2 references and they both recommend you. That's fine. You're good to go with that. Again, I mentioned earlier that I'm working on a documentary film. Once that film is complete, you will have access to it. You will be able to watch that. So I call it a homemade but creatively produced film about what we're doing, and it will add the element of story to this regenerative economy that we are in the beginning stages of creating. I will share with you the business plan, and it is always a work in progress. But it also breaks down the specific financials on how we intend to generate $1 trillion in revenue within 5 years. So I have some wonderful partners who are currently working with me on this to change the languaging. But as it's developed, I will share that with all of our contributing partners. You'll have access to our core fellowship recordings. So we already have about maybe 15 hours of very good material where you get to watch 4 of us, and it eventually became 5 of us, really kind of stumble through learning about what this is, what is our relationship to each other, how do we move forward as individuals. So you can kind of watch that process, through our core fellowship recordings, which we will give you access to as a contributing member. So Rogue Counselor, that's me. That's kind of my personal brand. If you resonate with me personally, I have a lot of material out that I use as kind of like a life coaching type of method, where I walk you through methods to deepen conversations, deepen relationships. My partner Marta Reese, who is in this screenshot here, she and I have recorded over 4 hours of recordings with a with a program called the Most Meaningful Conversation. So these are just tools to help you develop deeper relationships with people that you are already in partnership with, and to feel more comfortable and confident talking about, what this time bank thing is, what this reverse market mechanics thing is, because it's still very, undefined yet, and it's defined by our relationships. So a lot of that material will be available to you for being a contributing member, as well, to help you, feel more confident and to be more authentic with your partnerships, with your conversations, with your fellowships. Um, Once we're up and running and moving, I will provide quarterly coordinator reports to let you know how we are doing with achieving our goals that we are setting forth here in this presentation. This recording is kind of like a quarterly report, because I report on how many members we do have, how many hours we've generated, and how close we are to making our yearly goals. An EPE number. That is what will get you into the regenerative economy, where you are entitled to market share. You are entitled to returns. So the way our business plan is set up, we only accept $25 donations. If you would like to contribute more or donate more, there is a different program that I am establishing that I will talk about at the end of this presentation. But member owners, we only accept $25 donations for every 20 hours that you provide services for the time bank. So once you've provided 20 hours, you can make another $25 donations, get a new EPE number, and that is how we track everybody's exponential growth within the regenerative economy. So the 20 hours of services receivable, as you get to know us and you get to know our other member owners, you can develop relationships and receive services at a rate of about $1.25 an hour, which is sounds insane, but when you do the math on the macroeconomic level, what costs us as member owners $1.25 an hour would eventually cost the extractive economy $50,000 an hour. So I know that sounds very fantastical. Right now, I understand that this is very new information, but I want you to keep that in mind, that you're getting some very, very good quality services at the rate of $1.25 an hour if you choose to become a contributing member owner. And of course, all those 20 hours that you provide to other member owners is creditable for exponential interest. So that's not going to be the focus of today's presentation, but I will have a presentation, and I do have a presentation that gets more into the nuts and bolts of that. So the purpose of showing you all this is not to overwhelm you, not to confuse you, but just to show you that for that $25 voluntary donation, this is the benefits package that we give you, and it's stacked. It's very stacked in your favor. So again, it's $25 voluntary donation for 20 hours of service if you choose to become a contributing member. So please feel free to join the time bank. I'll teach you how to do that here in a little bit. And again, you are entitled to all those benefits for the $25 donation. So one way you can start to explore these benefits is we have a Patreon page. You can go to patreon.com/karmic margin call. So you can make those $25 donations either all at once or in small increments. I think we have like a $7 a month a Patreon membership as well. And we'll give you those benefits on a monthly basis as well. So that's how you can get involved with minimum, with a minimum monetary investment. So it just kind of tells us, look, I'm interested in this. I want to explore it. And we'll start building an account for you.